We Americans love choices, whether it be when we run out to get ice cream or yogurt and all the flavor choices, or whether it be when we pick our cable or satellite television packages. We love choices. For the last several years, when it came to a 50-inch side-by-side, there were only a couple of choices, Polaris or Textron Off-Road. But now, all of that has changed. Meet the 2018 Can-Am Maverick Trail. The Maverick Trail comes in two flavors of engines. You can get the Rotax 800 with 51 horsepower, or you can get the Rotax 1000, which has 75 horsepower, and that's what I'm driving today. Now I'll tell you straight up, it's all Rotax in this machine, and that means lots of torque, lots of hard power, and I love it. Just listen to that engine when you accelerate. Love the sound of that exhaust and that engine purring. Can-Am's Rotax engines are known for keeping so much power on tap, and the throttle just responds to your foot. You can just put that power on quick. So much fun. This also comes with two choices, two flavors, with power steering, DPS, or without power steering. First of all, I'll tell you, get the power steering. It's fantastic. I've also got to say that it's dynamic, the D, and that dynamic makes it easier to steer at lower speeds and harder to steer, or offers more trail feedback at higher speeds. With the 1000, you also get the ITC, the Intelligent Throttle Control, with a sport mode and an eco mode. Eco allows your foot to bounce up and down more on the pedal without the engine responding and jolting you forward and backwards. You put it in sport mode, and every little move of the pedal, you get instant power. I find myself leaving it in eco most of the time, especially on rocky trails, so that I'm not jolting forward and back and forward and back. But let me tell you, it is fun to put it in sport mode and have this thing just totally respond to your every whim of your foot. It's nuts how it responds. It's fantastic. In the 50-inch class, the Maverick Trail has the longest wheelbase and is the longest machine. It's 118 inches long, and it's 90.6 inches with the wheelbase. This is longer than the competitive units. But that doesn't make it hard to maneuver on the trails, even real tight trails. That extra few inches makes for a much better ride. The suspension is 10 inches of travel up front, 10.5 in the rear, dual A-arm front and rear. I just know that the ride on it is excellent. And when you get into a corner, it's predictable, and it's so much fun to spin these corners. The more you push it, it feels like the better the suspension gets. Now, I've hammered it over a whole lot of rocks at higher speeds, lower speeds, and this just absolutely soaks it up. That's where the DPS comes in too. Like, the power steering is excellent on this. You hit the rocks, you don't even feel it in the steering at all, especially at these lower speeds. But the ride as a whole, the experience as a whole, even in rough terrain, is very, very comfortable. The ride in this machine should not be as good as it is. I think I can't quite wrap my mind around how good it really is for its size. It's stable, it corners like a dream. Corners on rails. Everything about it feels good, it feels right. It's kind of like putting on that perfect hat or that perfect pair of jeans. It just feels right. It's an excellent ride. It's the best ride in its class. The interior is quintessential Can-Am. Everything about this screams Can-Am. It's comfortable. It's got lots of the Can-Am rocker switches. I've got to say, normally the instrument cluster in most Can-Am units is like top notch. This one, even in the 1000 DPS version, it's not quite as flashy as some of the higher end versions in the bigger side-by-sides. That said, it does everything really well. Lets you know everything that's going on. The instrument cluster is also attached to the steering wheel adjuster, the mechanism. So it goes with you. It always stays in the right place, so you can see it without any problem. Now I think the thing that sticks out for me is the level of comfort in this area called the triangle, where my hands are, where my feet are, and where my butt sits. These seats are angled in such a way that you're not crunched up. It is the most comfortable 50-inch side-by-side I've ever ridden in. I feel like the seating position is perfect. The Can-Am CVT engagement system, it's a quick response system, works very well. It doesn't jerk you, keeps the belt tight, lets the machine respond to your foot and throttle input. It's really nice. It's got a finesse to it, like a fine dining restaurant, as opposed to a gas station where you get the sushi and you know you don't want the sushi from a gas station. If you get the DPS version, it comes with 4-mode all-wheel drive. Lets you have 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and you can lock or unlock the rear diff. So it's 4 different modes you can select. Can-Am has some other technologies on this machine. They have the electronic hill descent control. I don't really understand the electronic part. What I do know is when I let off the gas, it's amazing how gentle the engine braking kicks in. And it does it well. Like if you get on and off the throttle, there's a natural feeling to it. And I like the fact that when you let off the throttle, because it does feel natural, it doesn't jerk you forward and catch real hard. Of course, there are a couple of issues. One thing I'm not a huge fan of is because it is a longer machine and the way the hood is shaped, it's really important to see what your line is going to be, because once you get up close to it, you can no longer see the ground in front of the machine. I like the doors in this a lot. They're full half doors, so they really do keep the mud and the muck and the trail debris off of you. There's no holes in them. It also means it keeps the wind off of you. They have a good automotive feel to them. My one kind of problem with them is the entry and exit. The handle pulls out and is set back. It's hard to get a hold of, and at times it's hard to deal with. And your tendency is to use that left arm to do it. It just doesn't work well. Once you figure out you can use your right arm to open the door, that makes it a lot easier. I think they should move these releases further down the door to make it easier to get in and out. One thing that I appreciate about the Maverick Trail is its length. But what's odd to me is that when Can-Am designed the back of this bed, they pushed it so far forward of where the rear tires extended out. So that means that every water hole, every mud hole you go through, it flings so much mud over the back of the taillights, covering those, and all over your gear. I wish Can-Am would just bring this bed out just a little bit more to protect your gear, so when you're done for the day, it doesn't look like your gear's been in a mud fight with a bunch of 3-year-olds. I ask myself sometimes, is there a good market for the 50-inch side-by-side? And clearly there is. Apparently the market is about 9 to 10% of the overall side-by-side market. So who would buy something like this? If you're an ATVer, and of course if you're restricted to the 50-inch trails, you now have another choice, which is great. This is a good natural progression if you're going from an ATV to a side-by-side. This is a good natural progression for that. It's very comfortable. great ride. I like the extended size of the wheelbase, and really the car overall has such a stable feel. Suspension is excellent. CVT is excellent. The fit and finish is just a cut above a lot of the competitors. If you're in the market for a 50-inch side-by-side, the Maverick Trail may just be the one for you, so you need to check it out.
For more information about the Maverick Trail, including images and specs and a full written review, check out ATVESCAPE.com, our ATV Escape mobile apps, or our free November-December issue of ATV and UTV Escape magazine. Thank you so much for watching.